The passing of Robin Williams is a great but unfortunate example of how men suffer alone, even when they are surrounded by loved ones. And maybe it's because of our ego that we tend not to open up more and share more. Maybe it's the pressure of societal expectation that make us in a way not feel as though we should disclose that we are suffering, that we are having a bad time right now. So let's talk about it. Hello everyone and welcome back. So on this channel, you guys already know, we tend to have very uncomfortable conversations, and the way I like to have this conversation is just, I'm talking to my friends, I'm talking to people, and we are trying to figure this out together. And today it's going to be extra uncomfortable because the topic is, why do men turn to suicide, and why do people who are close to them never see it coming? When we look at the passing of Robin Williams, for example, many of us were shocked by that news, but the most shocking part was the fact that he took his own life. To many of us, he seemed like a man full of joy, a man full of love. We felt that in his comedy. We felt that in his movies.
This is from Dean in Detroit, Michigan. You ever been to Detroit?
I lived there for many years.
Did you really?
My dad was in the automobile industry.
He was not.
Yes, he was. Hence the cars every week. We moved back and forth between Detroit and Chicago, but
Did you really?
Yes, sir.
Did you really?
Yes, sir.
I'm very excited. Let's talk even higher, so that only dogs can hear us. And eventually there'll be one person can hear.
And even when she was asked if she ever suspected that her husband would do something like that, his wife stated the thought of suicide was never expressed by him.
Did it ever cross your mind that he could be suicidal?
No. It was what was going on inside of his brain, the chemical warfare that no one knew about.
The suicide rate has been increasing. Right now, it is at an all-time high in the US. It has been increasing for more than 2 decades. Now, when it comes to suicide, it is an issue that primarily affects men. And it kind of makes sense that no one cares. Most of the problem that primarily affects men tend to be neglected. Reality is, it's also neglected by men. And one of the reasons why that's the case is because, frankly, enduring suffering and going through the tough time in silence is what men do. This is one thing that has been done by almost every man since the beginning of time. As young men, we grow up and see our fathers, our uncles, our older brothers suffer in silence. So we do the same thing. That's just being passed down from generation to generation. Now here's the issue. In 2021, 38,358 men took their own lives, and about 9,825 women did the same thing. It is a total of 49,183 people in 1 year. Guys, that is the size of a small town. And I mean an entire small town. And the reasons why many men choose to take matters into their own hand and end it all are very simple, but they're not easy to talk about. They're not easy to fix either. And the first reason is that men are not good at dealing with emotions. And yes, a man could open up and show more emotion to somebody that he trusts, but in a day and age where people have less human connection and have isolated themselves more, many men will have less opportunity to open up to someone. And because men have had such a hard time dealing with these awkward emotions and have never been taught how to deal with these emotions, it also makes it extremely hard for them to engage in meaningful relationship with women. Having these relationships are in a way the most meaningful thing men and women can do. That's the reason why we are all just jaded. We're all just tired of what we are doing right now because there is no meaning to it. Granted, many women do not facilitate an easy way for men to open up. But here's the thing. We also need to understand that men throughout generations had to shut down the emotions in order to go to war, in order to go hunt or do the hard job. Because it's not as easy as saying, well, men should just, learn how to show more emotion. Men should learn how to deal with their emotion. Because it will be the same as saying, well, women should stop being so emotional. The second reason why men turn to suicide is because of the lack of support and encouragement to open up and seek help. Generally speaking, men feel like there is no one to turn to. And I speak from experience because even when we are surrounded by people who love us, there still is some kind of stigma around a man opening up, around a man even crying, in front of others. It might not even be that there is a stigma in that particular group. It could also be that it's never been done before. He's never seen it before, so he doesn't even know if that's okay. And if you in an environment, especially in men environment, where you are not supported or you're not encouraged to do so, then it can be quite difficult, because I think most men, myself included, we hate feeling like a burden, because many times I've seen it in myself and other people that one of the biggest worries that they have is feeling like a burden when they're receiving help from someone. And why do we feel this way? Frankly, I'm not sure. Personally, I tend to operate on pride more than I should, and it is hard to admit that, but I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one. And we could say that maybe it's the women are treated on the daily basis. I think both men and women tend to be more patient and empathetic towards women and children, but less towards men, because it is expected for a man to be able to take care of himself. So just to cut it short, I'm making this video as a reminder to men, but also to women, even though I'm primarily focusing on men here. If you feel alone, please try to reach out to someone, and don't be afraid to use the helpline available in your city or in your country. There are many of these available in most Western countries. Or at least maybe this video kind of made you feel something. Just to go back to the beginning, we might never find out what went through his mind when Robin Williams decided to take his own life, but we surely can prevent other people from making that same decision. And I know that there are many people right now who feel alone and they need someone to talk to, and they might not be thinking about taking their own lives, but they surely do feel like life is meaningless. A lot of people right now do feel like life is meaningless, and many of us have been there before. That's for sure. It's just unfortunate that some never make it through. I guess I'm not just talking about suicide, guys. I'm also talking about our general well-being. So maybe, just maybe, and I know I might be asking for too much here, it's time for men to create an environment that encourages their peers, their brothers, their friend, their best friend to open up more. Create that environment that encourages people to just not feel so embarrassed and shy and scared to come up and say something. Because if we don't do it, no one will. No one else cares. But that cannot keep on going. That's it for me today. Thank you for watching this video, and I appreciate you. I hope this video gave you something to think about. It was pretty dark, but we made it through. And please take care of yourself.